Hello everyone and welcome back to some more professional StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a bit of a special match. So here's the thing. Every once in a while during my casts, I make fun of Wings of Liberty tournaments. Because the thing is, whenever you compare 2021 StarCraft 2 to 2010, it doesn't even really look like the same game. I mean, obviously it is, but with the expansions and over the years, the game has just simply gotten so much better. I mean, the first tournaments in the game were basically won by people just 5 Rex Reaper rushing. This was literally the gold standard in Terran versus Zerg. People would literally just build 5 barracks, put a bunch of tech labs on them, because back then you had to, like, in order to make a Reaper, you had to have a tech lab on a barracks. There was even like I think a factory requirement for like a tech lab upgrade to make the Reapers even faster. Basically what I'm trying to get at is that over the last decade or so, StarCraft 2 has gotten a whole lot better. Now, as you may have already noticed, things are a little bit weird here. Both of these players started this particular match with 6 workers each. Now, every once in a while, I get people asking, Loko, could you please cast one of those games from Wings of Liberty? And the sad truth is that those replays, they do not work anymore. Over the years, they have broken. I would love to cast some of the tournament games from 2010 just to show you the ridiculousness. But I guess with technology changes and all that, it's just, yeah, not really a possibility anymore. However, last Saturday, if you're watching this video or so in the week that it goes up, there was a tournament called the FilthyRake's Wings of Liberty Brawl. So this game, it was played just a couple of days ago. However, it's played with the Wings of Liberty mod. Now, I'm not entirely sure which version of Wings of Liberty, because obviously Wings of Liberty was also around for a couple of years, and early on it was definitely worse than it was at the end. Anyways, because of that, we are also on a map called Antigua Shipyard, which is also a very old one. But before I blabber onwards, let us get started. Like we always do. Well, get started. We're already like 2.5, almost 3 minutes into this game. Let us at the very least introduce the players. So spawning here in the top right-hand corner of Antigua Shipyard. A very bad map, a very old map. Playing with the blue SCVs, we have none other than Spirit. Now, in case you're unfamiliar with the name Spirit, he used to go under the name of Soul. Sometimes with the capitalized L, sometimes not. Very good Terran player, one of the highest ranked Terrans on the European server. His opponent, in the bottom left, playing with the red Zerg drones. He goes by the name of Bly. I feel like if anyone is going to be comfortable playing with the Zerg in Wings of Liberty, it's probably Bly. Bly probably has a bunch of strategies that will work out well just because, you know, that's kind of what he does. Anyways, so real quick, right? For me, it's been a very long time since I've seen a Wings of Liberty game as well. And all of the units pretty much have changed, with the exception of maybe like the Zergling and the Marine. All of the units definitely had, maybe even the Zergling and the Marine have had some updates. I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, already. Look at this. There's not really a proper Overlord position, so he's just gonna lose this first Overlord. Yeah, at some point it became the standard to give the Zerg a couple of hiding spots for their OVs, just because scouting turns out to be pretty helpful. I think there is some dead space over here, but anyways. Must have probably been about a decade as well since Bly played a game on Antigua Shipyard. Now, just real quick, right? As far as the very basics go, with Heart of the Swarm Host, the Viper, the Hellbat, and the Widowmine were introduced for this particular matchup. Imagine Terran right now without the Hellbat or the Widowmine. Imagine Zerg without, well, I guess the Swarm Host doesn't really matter too much because it's not common, but imagine Zerg without the Viper, right? That's probably the strongest late-game Zerg unit that there is in a game right now. With Legacy of the Void, which, by the way, came out like 6 years ago at this point, a little bit longer than that. I remember that game releasing. Feels like it wasn't that long ago, but anyways. They introduced the Cyclone and the Liberator. Imagine a game right now without Liberators. That feels a little bit crazy. And for Zerg, they introduced the Ravager and the Lurker. Now, a lot of those units are core units specifically for this matchup. So I'm not 100% sure what to expect. Anyways, over the years, I mean, this is, by the way, a 4-player map, so at this point, Spirit doesn't actually know where his opponent spawned, although I guess he saw the Zerglings running from that direction when he touched the wall, the watchtower over there. Yeah, he's gonna be able to determine where the Zerg comes from. Anyways, over the years, maps has also, they have also changed a lot, and maps honestly are one of the most significant changes you can make to the balance of the game. I mean, look at this map right now, right? Just like it was in Wings of Liberty, so it is today as well, Zerg usually out-expands Terran in this matchup. Where does Zerg take a 4th? Where do you take it? Do you take it over here? Siege tanks can, like Marines, can literally attack from. Do you take it over there? I mean, you need to work. It's crazy, man. Anyways, couple of Hellions trying to see if they can get in here. Bly, setting up a bit of a wall off, losing a handful of workers so far, it seems. Nothing all too crazy, though. He's actually not even making a whole lot of lings here either. So I guess the drones and the queens are going to be tasked with defending this. Yeah, he does have some minerals. Wouldn't have minded seeing him make like 4 additional Zerglings at the very least. But hey, apparently Bly a little bit too busy here. It's easy. Just micro like me. There you go. Easy peasy. We've got ourselves the tech lab right now researching the cloaking field as well for the Banshee. First Banshee is already out for Mr. Spirit. This feels strange. Now, there's a whole lot of games in this particular replay pack. I just simply selected the longest one. No idea if it's a good game, but... I mean, there's plenty to talk about. If you guys are interested, I'm definitely not against casting some more matches from this particular tournament. Let me know down below in the comment section. Personally, I'm a big fan of the craziness, right? Whenever games are a little bit out of the ordinary. I found that usually those videos do quite well on the YouTube channel as well, though. You know, obviously, I'm definitely not against casting... I don't know, Raynor versus Clem, right? I've casted it a bunch of times. Absolute top tier StarCraft 2 is amazing, but I am personally a bit of a fan as well of these crazy games where the pros play 2v2 or Archon mode or any of these different game modes, right? The free-for-alls back in the day as well, those were a ton of fun. Alright, I've never been a big fan of the 6-worker start. Maybe it's because I cast a lot of games. But, I mean, in this particular match, I had a lot of things to talk about in the earlier stages of the game, but I remember casting games way back when, and when the game starts with just 6 SCVs and 6 drones, basically the first 2 minutes or so, I just, you know, 2 players trying to build up to 12 workers. It's even worse in StarCraft 1, obviously, where you just start with way less. Anyways, it's kind of tricky sometimes where you're commentating games just by yourself to, yeah, just... talk about things, because there's most of the time not that much stuff to discuss. Some people say that it's reduced strategic variety, but honestly I strongly disagree. We still see plenty of cheese as well with the 12 worker start. Now, so far, by the way, this is really going quite well for Spirit. Spirit losing 6 Hellions up to this point, but he's gotten 13 drones as well. His supply count really not looking that hot, though. I'm not 100% sure as to why that is. It's not like his third CC is super quick here either. Obviously, the macro mechanics in this matchup have changed a lot as well. Ooh, the infestation pit. I forgot about that. Okay. This was indeed a thing that people would do. So actually, back in the day in Wings of Liberty, the most OP unit composition was Broodlord Infestor. Broodlord Infestor was actually very broken. Basically, once Zerg got up to Broodlord Infestor, it was nearly impossible for them to lose. One of the reasons for that is not only did Broodlords have like +2 more range than they do right now, which is huge, fungal growth in particular was way more powerful. So fungal growth, nowadays it's a slowdown, right? Like you throw it on a bunch of your opponent's units and then it slows the units down, right? However, back in the day, it was a full-on route. So you could throw the fungal growth and then everything would be caught in it. Meaning that they can't move around, and obviously also meaning that you can chain fungal them. So you could just chain a bunch of fungals, and then everything caught in it will eventually die. Especially a nice little clump like Marines. Pretty helpful. Anyways, Bly has decided to go for the gold base. He's now also working on the rocks behind the third of Spirit. Spirit does see this. These maps are so much better for Terran, it's actually insane. I'm looking at this right now. Oh my god, no, no, no! No, Spirit! Oh my god, well, I guess that's just to prove my point. Thank you very much for that, Spirit. This is literally a siege tank ledge. Like, these days, ledges are small because Reapers, you know, are supposed to be able to jump up there. They're not meant for siege tanks, okay? Yep, I forgot about this too. This is so stupid. Zerg can literally not reach that, by the way. You have to go mute us, I guess. Yeah, that base is never gonna live. That base is never gonna live. So already, another base has been acquired on the left side. That is one dirty siege tank location. Obviously, it's a mirrored map, right? So there's like one over here in the back as well of the main base of the Zerg player. I forgot about how much worse the maps are, man. Or were, rather. It's so significant, right? Like, these maps. I'm looking at this one at the very least. I'm not 100% sure how Zerg can even win. I mean, at the very least, with a modern approach of StarCraft 2, it's gonna be hard to pull that off. These guys are playing a, yeah, relatively modern style of the game right now. Now, obviously, I'm saying that. I'm thinking, like, what kind of cheeses did people go for back in the day? Fungal growth, obviously. Can you do the fungal? Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, yeah, fungal also didn't have a little missile. I forgot about that. That was huge as well. It was like an insta-fungal, as long as the Infestor was in range, kind of like Sonic Storm. Okay, so he does clean his up, eventually. I think that's mostly due to Spirit's miscontrol. But anyways, that's one way of doing it. Fungal, hello. Okay, we did get a fungal right over there to try and detect these Banshees. My god. Another hatchery, by the way, ends up going down here. Fungal! If you get the pathogen glance, upgrade. You do spawn with enough energy on these Infestors to be able to instantly cast the fungal growth. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Bly is definitely being a little reckless right here with these Infestors. Luckily, that one does get transfused back up to full. Alright, there's the Adrenal Glands upgrade coming up as well. What I was gonna try and say, right, what kind of cheeses did Zerg players go for back in the day? Well, there were a lot of Baneling busts. Most of the cheeses these days, especially the ones that Bly likes to go for, they're all around, you know, based around the Ravager. But guess what? There's no Ravager in this game. So people would do a lot of Baneling busts, but obviously it didn't take too long for Terran players to figure out how to counter those. Oh my god. Dude, you should put him over there. I'm just saying. Like, you should just... Or you can just kill that base. Bly is going for a ton of units, by the way. Once again, Zergling run by, ready to go in. Honestly, yeah, there you go. Put him on the ledge. Gun down those Infestors, man. There you go. Honestly, what Spirit should do is just make a wall off over here, too, right? Like, put additional supply depots here at the top of that ramp. I think it's going to work out quite well. My god. This is so dirty, right? So they can obviously hit the main base as long as they have vision. Even though, you know, physically it makes no sense because it seems like they're shooting anyways. Now, you know what? A lot of damage is being done out here, though, by those Zerglings. I can't believe that there's a ramp leading up towards the third base. And the funny thing is, Antigua Shipyard was considered to be a really good map. Now, I don't want to be too Zerg biased. But, you know, I mostly play Zerg, so I'm looking at this right now, and I'm like, how do you win? How do you... What do you do? What do you even do? Why is there no, like... Mutilating Bane was a standard unit composition. Especially on maps that had, like, those big overhanging ledges. There were even worse maps as well. I'll try and see if I can cast some of those, too, actually. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll publish those later this week, I'm pretty sure. Alright, you know what? These Zerglings are dealing a lot of damage, though, with Adrenal done. Yeah, Adrenal is very strong. Spirit hasn't started up his own 3-3 upgrades yet, so actually now he's dealing with a bunch of Zerglings here. I'm trying to think, were there any other significant changes to the Zerg that, like, made it possible to, like, actually play? I guess Broodlord Infestor was the way to go. Like, we're seeing Ultras right now. Marauders were different as well back in the day, where, like, they had singular attacks rather than, like... Oh, sorry, they had, like, merged attacks rather than singular ones where they shoot out of each arm each. Like, once each. What I'm trying to get at is that, like... Didn't the Ultras have, like, 2 less armor? I think they changed the Ultralisk armor at some point as well, like, 8 years ago. Anyways, pretty sure Marines are actually pretty good against Ultras in this version of the game. Planetary finishes up in the center of the map as well, just to rub insult to injury. Rub insult to injury. Rub the salt in the wound. It's early in the morning on a Monday, okay? Whenever I slipped with my commentary back in the day... Oh my god, Jimmy, I'm sorry about that, bro. Whenever I slipped with my commentary like 5 years ago, when casting games, I used to think, oh my god, people will really dislike it. And then I found out, you know what? People actually don't seem to mind when I make stupid mistakes like that. Oh my god, alright. Well, that fungal growth is insanely overpowered. My god. Yeah. I mean, we do need, like, a more reliable counter. Okay, so there is gonna be an Ultra transition. Siege tanks, by the way, still hanging out over here. 23 and 17 kills. Only the Queens were able to hit that, I suppose. By the way, back in the day in Wings of Liberty, it was also a long time until people started adding on additional queens. So it used to be common that people would only really get, like Zerg players that is, they would just get 1 queen per hatchery. And then that was about it. Like you would get 1 queen per hatchery, and then at some point, I think it was... Oh, I'm not sure. That was like the Spinishua opener? Does anyone remember what I'm talking about? My god. It's like stories with Grandpa Loco over here. Back in my day, we used to make 1 queen per hatchery. I didn't remember Spinishua opening like 8 queens on 2 bases and using the queens for creep spread. And people were like, what? Dedicated creep spread just for vision and movement speed? Wait, think about it. Like, movement speed and vision, they're kind of like the pillars of real-time strategy. But for some reason, it took a long time until people figured out that that was a good idea. A couple of Hydras are added into mix right now as well. I mean, Hydras to deal with siege tanks, 35 and 34 kills. Yeah, there's a good reason why we would usually see Mutiling Bane openers. Just because of a lot of maps featuring this sort of shenanigans. Alright, so, eventually, Bly has taken control of the center of the map. It's got a lot of Ultras. Love the Sim City, by the way, here that Spirit is maintaining. Oh my god, that's awesome. Yeah, he's been doing a great job with his building positioning in general. He's been in complete control of this game for the most part. Eventually, though, the Hydras have walked over there, and they're going to be able to get rid of a lot of these things. Yeah, initially, Wings of Liberty was also a lot more like StarCraft 1, right? Like, they changed the balance over the years, obviously, to be its own separate game, but... Ooh, 1 Ultra there, dangerously low. Can we see a Transfusion? Transfuse was instant. Rather. Now, all of a sudden, though, it's Spirit taking control of that high ground, and once again, that gold base is going to be extremely difficult to acquire. Spirit also dropping a Medivac over here, and guess what? How does Zerg get over there? They'd have to run all the way around. It's pretty bad. Anyways, I think Bly is a little bit too preoccupied. The problem is, yeah, there's units scouting all of the new bases of the Zerg, and I am seeing a lot more mining at this point for the Terran player than for the Zerg. Right? There's already a new CC running on over there, or flying on over there. Spirit is mining the center gold base as well for quite some time at this point, and unless we're gonna see some magical fungals, I really am not sure how Zerg would get anything done. I mean, not for a lack of trying, though. Yeah, the map layout is just so good for the Terran player. Oh my god. There's Terran players watching this right now, licking their lips, getting really excited about the concept of a map that looks like this. Base down south, by the way, got killed. Bly really needs to start mining over here, though. He really needs to start mining over here. I mean, I am surprised he's dealing this much damage. I mean, I was just saying that the building positioning is pretty good, but it definitely could be a little bit better. Like, once again, a full wall-off at the top of this ramp, not a bad idea. A full wall-off over here, rather than, like, depots and, you know, not a bad idea either. Planetary morphing in right here at the, I guess, like the... What is this? Like the 430 position? Give or take. Hatchery on the left side of the map also goes down. These Zerglings seem to deal a lot of damage, though. Did they change Zerglings? Or are Zerglings just kind of OP? They're not even at +3. No, Adrenal Glands gives like 30-something, 38% attack speed or something in 2021. Alright, at the same time, Zerg player also trying to break through this position. Now all of a sudden, though, it's a very Marauder tank-heavy army. And siege tanks and Marauders are pretty good against these Hydras and those Ultras. Alright, there's the 1 fungal going down. Second fungal going down as well. I think a 3rd fungal also ended up taking place. But the problem is that there is so much stuff for this Terran player. My god. This is a trip down memory lane. It's a bit of a dirty trip. It's kind of hurting my feelings a little bit. Let me drink some tea while we watch this Zerg player die. So Mutiling Bane was the standard for Zerg. And I believe for a very good reason. And then eventually we would see Ultras and then also Infestors. And with a map this size, obviously, imagine like... Okay, that is the most pathetic attempt at a 360 surround that I've seen in a long time. GG is cold, by the way. What I was trying to say is that with a map the size of Antigua Shipyard, You can imagine, right? Broodlords in the center. Even though they're super slow units, they can basically reach all of the Terran bases within like 10 seconds. All right, one more? Let's do one more. So this time around, I mean, I featured Zerg and Terran. This time around, we're going to have a look at two Protoss players facing off against each other on a map called Steppes of War. Now, Steppes of War, in my personal opinion, is the worst map that we've ever had in competitive StarCraft 2. It was around back in the beta of Wings of Liberty. Yes, I'm a bit of a boomer, a StarCraft boomer anyways. So first up, we have the red Protoss player. He goes by the name of ZEST. And ZEST decided to send out a worker right at the beginning of the game, and he's already in his opponent's main base. Now, luckily here for the opponent, his name is FilthyRake. He did see the probe coming in. The problem is, right, when you only have like 8 workers, I'm assuming he saw it. The problem is, when you only have like this many workers, checking your own main base when you already have a scouting probe going out as well is actually a very significant chunk of your income. At the very least, right now, he knows that something is not quite right. I'm not too familiar, by the way, with FilthyRake. So apparently he's a Swedish Protoss player who had some decent results in the most recent premier tournaments over in Europe. Like round of 48, that sort of thing. Definitely favoring ZEST here, because ZEST, of course, has won, like, pretty much everything over the years in StarCraft 2. But I figured if we're gonna have a look at a Protoss game, it should probably be on Steppes of War, right? And, oh my god. Alright, we have a proper dirty start right here from Mr. ZEST. Channeling his... by the way, I see some weird, like, light flashes every once in a while on the map. This is probably picking up as well on the video. Not 100% sure why. I think there's some sort of, like, texture glitch or something happening. Anyways, so we have double gateway proxy inside of the opponent's main base versus 2 defensive gateways. FilthyRake has 12 probes, whereas ZEST is already chrono boosting out the first Zealot inside of his opponent's main base. ZEST does have 2 workers less, with one of those workers being right over here. So income-wise, this is definitely going to be a nice little advantage right here for the Swedish Protoss. Not 100% sure how this is going to play out. But this is about the gist of, yeah, Wings of Liberty Protoss versus Protoss, I suppose. Especially on Steppes of War. Really cannot afford to lose anything here. Defensive Zealot is out as well. I can imagine that Mr. FilthyRake may also be a little bit nervous here, just because he's going up against one of the legends of the Protoss race. Already, right now, there's 3 Zealots available. I think eventually this should be playable, though, for FilthyRake. Right? I think. I mean, he is denying a lot of mining time there, ZEST that is. It's still 14 workers versus 10, though, so over time, there should, technically speaking, be enough workers out right now for FilthyRake here to like, get more stuff. He is gonna lose a pylon, which is gonna supply block him. That's kind of bad. 2 Zealots, though, are in the meantime right here working on the pylon that is powering both of those gateways here for ZEST. ZEST does still have the probe around. And once more, we're gonna have to see an engagement. Nice surround right there by FilthyRake. Picking up, I guess, one of the... What are we watching, man? This is what pro-level StarCraft was like, though, back in Wings of Liberty a lot of the times. Right? This is why I say that, like, the average Platinum League hero in 2021 can probably win the first GSL Code S. Like, it's actually silly. By the way, I did check out real quick what units were introduced with Protoss as well. FilthyRake, by the way, at 5 workers right now, decides to pull the boys. I think it's time to go across the map. ZEST, what are you gonna make defensively? I guess it has to be, yep, indeed, a forge. So ZEST is gonna, quote-unquote, cannon rush. It's not really a cannon rush. He's gonna build cannons in his own natural, or his own main base, rather. It's not particularly relevant for this game, but for Protoss, in Heart of the Swarm, they introduced the Mothership Core, the Oracle, and the Tempest, and with Legacy of the Void, the Adept, and then also the Disruptor. This is gonna get awkward. If ZEST can finish up a Photon Cannon, I think he should be fine. What are we watching? My god, those Zealots are gonna have a blast, though. He is actually sending out a probe towards the other side of the map. I'm not so sure that that was the right call, ZEST. I think ZEST wants to make this a full-on base race. That's a lot of workers going down just now for the Protoss player in red. Is ZEST actually gonna lose? That pylon should have been right over there. So he scouts right now. Oh, he's... That's one way of solving this problem, I guess. So Fighting Frog did leave one Zealot behind here to try and finish off these structures here for ZEST. No, I think ZEST is still okay. There's no way that 2 Zealots are gonna be able to kill these photon cannons or that pylon. And since these are in range of all of the final structures right here of Fighting Frog, it should still be a victory right here. Yeah. No, wait, what? Draw? Wait, really? Wait. Am I crazy? I am pretty sure that these 2 photon cannons here, I mean, if ZEST offers you a draw here, Fighting Frog says Awk, there's no way that Fighting Frog can make another structure. The win condition in StarCraft 2 is to destroy all of your opponent's structures. There's a pylon over here. That one is definitely in range of that photon cannon. Pretty sure these gateways are in range as well. Am I missing something? Just 5 more minutes. I mean, I can't really end on that previous game, right? Not 100% sure why ZEST decided to offer a draw there. So the win condition in StarCraft 2 is to destroy all of your opponent's structures. Fighting Frog couldn't make any new structures. And all of the structures that he had were in range of 2 photon cannons that couldn't be killed. And obviously the photon cannons count as structures. I'm not sure. Maybe ZEST just didn't really feel it. Anyways, that does mean, I mean, I can't go out in a game like that. That does mean we're gonna have a look at this game right here. We're once again on Steps of War. It's once again the same matchup. This time around, ZEST is spawning in the top right and Fighting Frog in the bottom left. Yeah, maybe a bit of a miscalculation there. But this is what I mean, right? The early game in Wings of Liberty was quite literally just both players building up stuff. I mean, technically speaking, obviously, that gateway all-in came a little bit sooner, but in like 99% of the games that I saw in Wings of Liberty, the first 2 to 3 minutes were just players building up workers, right? Until like anything would happen. So at this point, nothing's really happened yet. And as a solo caster at the very least, it's quite a lot of time to fill. You can imagine if I'm casting like a best of 7 series on the Thursday afternoon, I've got nothing to talk about anymore in game number 3. It gets a little bit tedious, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people, at least that's what I did whenever I watched YouTube casts back then, I would just fast forward through the first couple of minutes of Wings of Liberty games. Alright, so Fighting Frog is stealing one of the gases right here of ZEST, which in Legacy makes sense, but does it though? Now we see 3 gases right here on the production tab for Fighting Frog. 1 Zealot will be starting up here for ZEST, okay. Rally point of that gateway has already been set to the other side of the map. I was almost going to say all the way to the other side of the map, but on Steps of War, I don't think that's particularly fair. Fighting Frog not making his own... This is what I mean. You see? Already, there's nothing to talk about. I was going to say Fighting Frog is not making his own Zealot, but you could see that on the screen. Why are we not chrono boosting, by the way? What are we saving chrono for? Are we just gonna chrono the... Oh, you know what? Warp Gate was a very quick upgrade back in Wings of Liberty. Now, they nerfed it, I think, a couple of times in Wings of Liberty as well. Let me actually find. Let me just look it up real quick. Warp Gate, Wings of Liberty. Because they patched this upgrade like 17 times. Warp Gate research time. Oh my god, okay. Alright, here's a fun fact. Warp Gate research time increased in patch 5. This was, I think, in the beta of the game. From 60 seconds to 140 seconds. Then in patch 1.3.3, Warp Gate research time increased from 140 to 160 seconds. So back in the day, it used to be 60 seconds. Now it's 140. I don't know if it's still... I don't know, man. I don't know numbers. ZEST, though, is bringing like 3 pylons right here to the yard. And they're like, I'm going to make photon cannons. No. I'm going to make gateway unit instead of your main base. I'm not 100% sure what Warp Gate research time is at these days, but let's just say that it was quick to research. So another gateway is coming up here. It's a lot of pylons here for ZEST. I'm not sure exactly why I decided to build 3 of those, but I guess at this point, at the very least, he's not going to be denied. He also can't warp in as many units, but hey, the gateways are done. Look at the speedy little warp in, even without a gateway or a nexus present. Okay, good force field actually. Did already lose one Stalker though, which is a little bit unfortunate. Another Stalker will probably be, yep, one shot as well. One shot by one Stalker after the rest already dealt a lot of damage. Reinforcing units are gonna come out here eventually for Fighting Frog, but already ZEST is warping in more units inside of his opponent's main base. And while the warp-ins are pretty quick, units can still be sniped pretty easily as well. Not the cleanest micro, to be honest, on the side of ZEST here. But anyways, there you go. That was a little bit better. Well, we'll just write that one up to ping, okay? GG, well played. And there it is. ZEST obtains the victory. For the second time, I'm pretty sure.